This week, as President Obama was trying to counter Vladimir Putin's actions in Ukraine, American astronaut Stephen Swanson had to hitch a ride to the International Space Station on a Russian Soyuz. That trip cost about $70 million, part of a $400 million plus payout for the Russian taxi service. Neil Cavuto with a look at a bygone era when America could put its own people in space.
Well, it first hit us watching this unfold live on our air. It was a Friday, April 27th, 2012. The Space Shuttle Enterprise was hitching a ride to a museum, a symbol of our conquering space. The Enterprise was en route to conquering the deck of the ship, the Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum. That's when it hit us. We were gawking at the end of an era. Symbol of our triumphs, piggybacking with a jumbo jet to confirm we've given up on space.
It's almost as if we're not challenging ourselves to reach for the stars.
How had it come to this, some 50 years after this?
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Back then, Kennedy's goal was to put a man on the moon before the decade was out. But for JFK, it wasn't just about conquering space. It was about conquering the Russians. A Cold War played out in the cold darkness of space.
Well, they beat us into orbit. So we were behind. We were lagging.
We didn't go to the moon to collect rocks. We went to the moon to stick the flag in the moon before the Russians did.
But if we didn't have the Cold War, would Kennedy have had the same zeal?
No.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
But once Neil Armstrong stepped on the surface of the moon, it was as if our journey was done, and the realities of the billions spent to get there hit home. A war raging in Vietnam, budget demands raging in Washington, and many raging at one Apollo mission after another to the moon. So they cut them back, and later told Gene Cernan his Apollo 17 mission would be the last.
I was strolling on the moon one day.
Sure, there would be Skylab and even a joint mission with the Russians called Apollo Soyuz, then the space shuttle.
America's first space shuttle.
Amazing triumphs.
It's got to be one of the most proud moments of my life, I guarantee you.
Amazing tragedies.
The vehicle apparently exploded.
But through the years, budget cuts every year, bit by bit, the U.S. pulling back, jettisoning its zeal for the stars, and others more than happy to fill the void. Russia, China, India, Japan, all throttle up as we were winding down. The country that conquered space, now relegated to hitching rides into space and leaving it to unmanned vehicles to do all the exploring on Mars, zipping past Jupiter and Saturn, and passing the outer reaches of the solar system itself. Triumphs all, but the last man to walk on the moon says something was missing. What would a human being, what would that difference be?
Because we can think in real time. For the most part, a computer is only as smart as we make it.
The irony is that much of what we started on launch pads in Florida has now been relegated to little more than tourist attractions, silent tributes to all those thunderous liftoffs. Now off, now gone, now silent. Mercury, Gemini, Apollo, and the men who rode those rockets wondering.
The leadership we took from the Soviets at that time, we've turned around and given back to the same people.
We have outsourced all of our space technology now to the Russians. They're the ones that are putting our people up into space.
They say there are no flags in space. It's a good thing because a big one is now missing in space. It's as if we've gone from interstellar rock stars to relics, faster than you could say supernova. And the only hint our kids and grandkids will have of that time America conquered the heavens is maybe checking out one of the chariots we used to do it at a museum.
Neil, thank you. Amazing pictures. So have we abandoned a frontier we pioneered? Let's return to the panel. Charles.
Yes, we have, and we have given up the leadership. And I think it is a matter of leadership. It was a Kennedy who said we would go to the moon within the decade. Without his leadership, that would not have happened. We have a president in office now who canceled the follow-on program that would have come after the space shuttle. The shuttle was exquisite, but too expensive and dangerous. We could have easily recreated a program which was called Constellation, which was like Apollo and would have gotten us back into space, given us a position to make ultimately a base on the moon or Mars or whatever. We now have nothing. Obama talked about capturing or landing on asteroids, pie in the sky. We have nothing in place, and the intellectual infrastructure of all the scientists who worked on this and who know this stuff is now dispersed. It would take years to recreate. It is truly a national tragedy.
Kirsten.
Yeah, I think it's something that most Americans are very proud of, as when we look back on the video of what our astronauts have done, and I think it's a very exciting thing for everybody, even if you weren't alive when it was happening. So, you know, on the one hand, I understand President Obama's concern about the shuttle program, where we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars in a time when we don't have a lot of money. But it also would be nice to maybe try to find a way to stay somewhat competitive, maybe not spend as much money as we used to, because we don't have as much money as we used to have. And then when hopefully the country's back on track, be able to invest more in it.
Frankly, private enterprise is looking into space more and more. George.
Early in the Obama administration, the head of NASA said he was told by the president that one of his missions was to make the Islamic world feel good about its contributions to science over the ages. Recently, a NASA-funded study has warned that unless we improve inequality on the Earth, civilization will collapse. Now, that all may be worthwhile. It has nothing to do with what NASA is supposed to do. Clearly, we went to the moon, A, as a Cold War ploy, gesture, worth doing, but also because Kennedy wanted to demonstrate that the so-called lethargy of the Eisenhower years had been put aside and youth and vigor was at hand. That said, it's not clear to me that manned space is where the science is interesting anymore. We are building enormous, wonderful telescopes, and we have rovers on Mars that are sending back tremendous stuff, so it's not quite fair to say we're out of the space business or out of that frontier.
Sure.
I agree with George, which I think, look, this is...
Are you surprised?
Yeah, a little bit.
Did you catch yourself?
I think I am.
Okay,
I'm trying to catch myself, but it's not working. I mean, this is... We didn't abandon it. George Bush started the retirement of the shuttle for some of the reasons that Charles pointed out. It was dangerous, and also, more importantly, it just didn't match with going into deep space, whether it was landing on asteroids or intercepting asteroids or going to Mars. The shuttle can't do those missions. And so instead of spending money on something that wasn't going to get us there, or even putting an interim, spending a lot of money on some interim thing that kind of kept us all feeling good that we were still in space, it's doing these missions that George talked about, and we plan on landing men on asteroids in 2025 and going to Mars in 2030. I don't know if the money's there and if the will is there, not just in this administration, but in future ones. But that's the plan right now, and that's where we're moving towards without wasting a lot of money.
It's not a plan. It was an announcement. There is nothing that is going to produce that in any of our lifetimes. I hope that we all live long. We're not going to see that. We are unable to go into low Earth orbit. And just about all the other powers who matter, the Russians, Chinese, ultimately Indians and Japanese, are going to do that. The only footprints that will be absent on the moon are going to be American ones.
But Charles, we have American corporations now, businesses that are putting people into low Earth orbit, and moving into the private sector is the way to do that.
Well,